What's up everybody? Today we're doing a little bit of a different video. Usually I stick to South Park, however recently I've got into anime, watched the anime Death Note, loved it, great anime, recommend you watch it. I'm currently watching some other animes and probably expect this channel's going to start going into anime more because it's actually very interesting. As I stated, I started off with Death Note and today we're going to be ranking every Death Note characters. We're going to be doing it tier list style. The first character on this list is Soio Yagami, which is Light's dad. Honestly, in my opinion, he's a great character. I love that because he's the head of the police force, he's running the whole project, and I really like how involved he is with all of it, and he adds to the story a lot. Now, my favorite scene with him is probably when he had to take Light and Misa, spoilers, when he had to take Light and Misa out in the car after they'd been held. And yeah, that scene where they're in the car, he points the gun, great scene. Honestly, I didn't even know what to expect happened from that scene. And I also do really appreciate that when he dies, Light is not Kira, because it makes me happy knowing he died a good death. For all these reasons above, I'm gonna have to put him in probably A tier. Big fan of him. Next up, we have Mallow. I'm actually not a fan of Mallow, I really dislike him. I remember he had the kidnapping Seiya Yagami bit in his story, and I just didn't really like him. He didn't really add to the story, and his chocolate eating gimmick, I didn't find that interesting at all. I'm not a fan of him at all. I reckon he's a pretty low character on my list, probably D tier. No, well, he's a bit better than D tier, I'll put him in C tier. Next up, we have Neo. I actually quite like Neo. I know a lot of people don't like him as he was just an L clone. However, obviously his plot line was after the expected ending, and it just makes it a bit hard to like him when the show really went downhill once L died. However, I do think Neo was a good character. I do appreciate that he did end up winning. However, the way he won was impossible. I'll make a video on that if you want me to. However, I'm a big fan of Neo. He's definitely an A tier character as well. I reckon above Light's dad. Next up, we have Seiya Yagami. Now, she doesn't play that big of a role in this show. She's there, she doesn't do too much. There's no reason to dislike her, no reason to really like her that much in my opinion. You can disagree. I reckon she's a solid B tier character. Next up is Terumi. Big fan of Terumi. I know he is part of the reason why Light doesn't win in the end. However, just as a character, he adds to it. I appreciate that he's actually really smart, similar to Light, unlike Misa, but he's actually a good Kira as well for the sake of the show. And I'm gonna go out and say something that I don't think a lot of people agree with me with, but I think he's an S tier character. I think he's great. Next up, we have Ryuk. It's hard to dislike Ryuk. Ryuk's funny. I like the apple gag. He's a good character overall. He's funny, definitely adds to the show. And I do really appreciate the bit where he tells Light that someone's following him. That scene, great scene. Honestly, the whole show is great. I might do a whole show review next. But honestly, for Ryu, I'm gonna have to put him in S tier as well, and I'd say even above Terumi. Next up, we have L. L is by far the best character in the show, or one of the best characters in the show. Obviously, he's one of the two main characters. I really appreciate how he was able to outsmart Light for nearly the whole entire show. However, I do feel a bit bad for him, because clearly he knew Light was Kira from episode 2. However, he couldn't just arrest Light for that, because one, Light's dad was his boss basically. He needed more proof. But great character, and his best scenes are the ones where him and Light are handcuffed together. Those are some really good scenes, very funny scenes, and I do appreciate his gag of always having the sweets with him, always eating. I like it. So for those reasons, as far as I paused, for those reasons, he's going very top of S tier. Next up, we have Light Yagami, the main character. I know I said L was the best character in the show, but I changed my mind straight away. Light is the best character in the show. I want to be like Light Yagami. I appreciate the way he stops to think, the way he's calm and calculated all the time. Like, it's really good. I have to put Light top of S tier in front of L. However, I do appreciate them as much as each other. Both great characters. Next up is Watchery. You have to appreciate Watchery. He had a good role in the show. I don't reckon he's as good as all these other characters. However, like, he does play an important part with L. He does introduce, like, he does the Nia and Mallow bit after L dies. Like, he's pretty important. However, I'm gonna have to put him in top of B tier, above Seiya. Next up, we have Kiyomi Takeda. I'm a big fan of Kiyomi Takeda. However, that one scene of her in the back of the van when she's naked played while I was sitting on an aeroplane and the flight hostess was standing above me. However, she does add to the show. I appreciate the way her and Light work together. Like, I find it very fascinating how the show was written. Like, it was really well written. And she was a character that was written, in my opinion, very well as well. I'm gonna have to put her in A tier between Nia and Light's dad, which I've just forgotten his name. Next up, we have Totsuda Matsuda, which I know a lot of people might not agree with me, but he is one of the best characters in the show. I'm even gonna put him above Ryuk. I'm gonna put him in S tier above Ryuk, but that's because I find that he is funnier than most of the characters in the show, and he adds a different, quirkiness to it that the show otherwise wouldn't have had. Especially his plot lines that all revolve with Misa and Mani. But I reckon he's a great character, really funny. Next up, we have Naomi Misora. She was the detective's wife, the one that died to Light, and I believe her smartness was also up there with Light. It wasn't at Light and L's level, but it was very much up there. She was going to solve the case if Light didn't do what he did. She has a very sad ending in the show. She was a good character. For those reasons, I'm going to put her in A tier, but at the very bottom of it, because she doesn't appear much throughout the show. Next up, we have Kenzo Mogi. I do actually really appreciate this character. His bits with Misa and Mani I find very funny. I think he adds to the show a lot. He's not as memorable as some of the other characters, however. He is great, he's funny, and for that reason I'm going to put him in A tier, in between Kiyomi and Light's dad. Next up, we have Ray Penber. Now, him as a character, I don't think he was way too interesting. Obviously, his lines on the bus, you do have to appreciate who he is. He was a hero on that day. However, he wasn't that interesting of a character in my opinion. I do really like what he did for the show though, the way that bus scene, one of the best ones, and just the way he made you think, because he was on the tail of Light the whole time, what was Light gonna do with him following. Good character though, so for that reason I'll put him in A tier, however just in front of his wife in A tier. Next up we have Aizawa. Aizawa, one of the best characters in the show by far. He, the bit where he leaves the crew, the task force, you'd have to appreciate his reasoning and why he did it. However, the fact he comes back to catch I can't remember what his name is, but the guy from the corporation, that guy was a bad guy. I can't remember what his name is, but when he comes back, uses the police force to stop him and take the notebook away. You have to put a lot of respect on him for doing that, because he did the right thing there. And overall, he's a great character in my opinion. I'm a big fan of him. So for that reason there, I'm going to have to put him in S tier, however, very bottom of S tier. Okay, this next one is Misa and Mani. Very unpopular opinion on Misa and Mani. She's one of the best characters in the show. She makes it more interesting than just a Light vs. L. as Light is what's it called? Like he has a penalty on his side. He is like not disabled. What's the word? He's like getting nerfed by having Misa on his side that he has to look after. So, but I think Misa's actually really funny and really adds to the show and really adds another level of depth to it. And for that reason, I'm going to put Misa Amani in S tier behind L, and I know a lot of people are going to disagree with that because that's a bad pick. And last but not least, we have Ram. I hate Ram. Honestly, she's what really gets in the way. I wish Light could have got rid of Misa Amani near the start, but Ram's like, oh no, I'm going to kill you if you do that. So, yeah, I'm not a big fan of Ram. Personally, she's one of my least favorite characters in the whole show. However, you do have to respect that she does end up killing herself to save Misa, which, in my opinion, is a very respectable act. So for those reasons, I'm going to put her in C tier below Mellow. And now, looking at this tier list, you might notice there's one more thing down the bottom. I don't know what that is, so we're going to skip it. On screen here we have my final rankings. Tell me what you think. You probably disagree with that, but who really cares? I think it's not a bad list. It's my list, so obviously I agree with it. You comment below what you would have changed, and I found this tier list online. That's why a lot of important characters are missing, and I watched Death Note over a month ago now and haven't looked at it again, which is why my character pronunciation is pretty poor episode. But if you want to see more on Death Note, comment down below and I'll rewatch it. But currently I am watching Classroom for the Elite, or of the Elite, and that show's great. There's definitely going to be heaps of videos coming out about that, and it's fresh in my mind, so it's actually going to be good stuff. Also, I only recorded this episode because I felt like I was a failing YouTuber because I haven't posted in a long time, and I really wanted to just put something back on the board, so I just made something half dodgy and posted it.